Hey, what is going on, guys? Hope you're having a great week. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at building the Legionary, and we'll be going through all the tiers and seeing each part and what you need to build it. We'll be doing some battle testing, some base testing, and kind of deciding, is this really worth the money? And also later in the video, we'll be taking a look at one glitch which we found, which is kind of crazy, but I'll show you later on. So yeah, take a look at this video. So here we go. So as you can see here, this is the Legionary and it takes a lot to build. And we're just going to go through these stats. So this is kind of the base stats, 147,775. And you can see, it has a warp speed of 2.5, protected cargo of 230, cargo capacity of 10,000, and the warp range of 24. So this is a huge ship. This is the battleship. It does 30% plus damage against Federation ships. So this is an awesome ship. And this is a Legionary class. So this is created for Star Trek Fleet Command. You cannot get this ship in the TV series or in the movies, but this is a awesome ship, and we're going to take a look at this in more detail. It's definitely not as good as the Augur class, but this is an uncommon ship, and it takes 1.3 million, about 500 uncommon ore, and 30,000 dilithium to build. About 6 days, depending on what your research is. But this is a pretty good ship, and I'm going to show you through the tiers and through everything else and what you need to build this ship. All right, here we go. So I've just sped through the build process, and now we're going to unlock this ship. Let's take a look. So that video was just incredible, and it really shows, how powerful the battleship is, and it could be a favorite ship too. So coming out of the gate, this strength is 155,075, and this is a really incredible, powerful ship. And let's take a look at some of the tiers here. So the phaser turrets, everything takes common ore or common crystal, and it takes a lot of titanium, dilithium, and it doesn't take too much just to get this up to tier 2, really. So it has energy phaser turrets on here. And it does have the kinetic weapons, and you can say the minimum damage, the maximum damage, all here. And of course the shield piercing, the armor piercing, and just how much you can make this thing grow just by upgrading the first tier. So take a look at this. Take a look at this huge strength. The cargo bay, you can really boost the cargo bay in tier 1. And of course the warp range, you can get up to warp 28. That is a huge amount. And of course the shields, you can really get the shields and the armor up. So this isn't, it's not too bad at all, really. So I did speed through that just to show you guys, but let's take a look at tier 2 now. So the ship is 170,000, and you can really boost it with the hull plating, and there's a huge armor difference here, about 200, 300, and the warp engines, again, if you boost the warp engines, you can go to warp 30 systems with tier 2. So this is fantastic. Again, you can boost the cargo bay. All of these take common, crystal, and ore. But of course, as we'll get to the weapons, not this weapon, but the other weapons do take uncommon ore and crystal. So it does take a lot of titanium, but the difference can be huge. So I would recommend take a look at this: uncommon ore and uncommon crystal, and a lot of dilithium and titanium. So I'd really recommend, pumping out the refinery and going for that. Keep refining, basically, because you really need it. You really need it to survive at this level. So tier 2, we're going to upgrade these now. And again, I do not have the parts, so I'm just going to use my Latinum reserves just to get these parts right here. But of course, you should be collecting these parts by defeating NPCs in faction space, whether it's Federation space, Romulan space, of course, Klingon space. All right, so now that we've upgraded all these parts, we can really tier her up to tier 3. So let's click tier up, and let's see how long this is going to take. So I suspect it's going to take a couple of days at least, but we are going to speed through this just for the sake of the video. It's going to take 2 days, 5 hours. So yeah, it's not a lot of time at all. So we've just upgraded the Legionary to tier 3, and take a look at these parts. To get it to tier 4 parts, it takes a huge amount of titanium, but it really boosts the hull. 219 you can get this up to. The warp engines, again, take a look at the warp engine, 63,000. You can get it to warp 32 system, so this is pretty good at upgrading the warp. Again, the cargo bay, a huge amount of protected cargo right there. And of course, the weapons do take that uncommon ore and crystal, so you really need to keep on the refinery here. But take a look at this minimum and maximum damage. It is a huge amount. 1.4 titanium again, 126,000 dilithium. And look at that armor piercing. You really need this armor piercing to use this Legionary. So again, this takes a huge amount of resources to upgrade. I highly recommend, going past tier 3, even to tier 4 if you can. Again, I'm going to use this Latinum just because I don't have the parts, but I would recommend, again, going out for those NPCs and taking out those NPCs to get those 3-star battleship parts. And this can be acquired again by taking out those battleship NPCs. So yeah, so I'm going to upgrade this. I'm going to tier her up. And you can really see the power build in here. You can really see the attack, the health, and the defense going up. Just in tier 3. This isn't even tier 4. So this is a huge amount of resources, but it is worth it. I'm still at level 1. I'm going to tier this thing up. We're going to go to tier 4 right now. 3 days, 17 hours. And, huge amount right there. So we've just upgraded the Legionary to tier 4 right now. And to get it to tier 5, it requires a huge amount of uncommon ore and crystal resources. But this is 232. If I upgrade the warp engines, I can get them to warp 36 systems. So this is again, a huge boost. And, I really want to upgrade this cargo bay. And this is going to take a huge amount of titanium again. So, all in all, this takes about a huge amount of titanium just to get it to tier 4. But I think it's really worth it if you want, a battleship which is really going to kind of crush those explorer ships. Obviously, this will not do very well against interceptors. Take hand of the battle triangle, but those phaser turrets, those energy turrets, they do take a lot of resources, and it is definitely worth it. Definitely worth the resources. But again, you're going to have to use your refinery a lot. And I'm just going to upgrade these. Right now, just to see what the final strength is. So I'm going to upgrade this armor plating. Again, I do not have the parts. I'm just going to click upgrade right here. 265. Going to upgrade the warp engines right now. 267 Latinum gone. And upgrading the cargo bay. Let's take a look here. And I'm just going to upgrade this weapon right here. This is a huge amount of dilithium to use up. And of course, titanium. And I'm just going to do this final one. 290. I'm just going to do it. Upgrade. All right, so we're ready to upgrade to tier 5. Let's go. Let's do this. So we're now at tier 5, and you may want to stop at tier 5 just because the resources, they're really packing in a punch here. It takes 525 uncommon, or just to get that whole armor plating, to tier 6. So, it's a good, would you stop at tier 5? It is a good chance you probably would, just because, it is really super expensive to get to tier 6. But if you have the titanium and the uncommon resources, if you've really been saving them for a while, it might be worth going to tier 6. But I would not go past tier 6 just because, this huge amount of resources just to take it there. Like, look at this. It takes rare crystal and ore just to upgrade the weapon systems. So unless you're saving for those special refinery events, it's going to be very hard to get to tier 6 at this stage. And of course, don't forget there are 9 tiers to the Legionary, but it's so hard. I'm just using up the Latinum right now just to get these parts. But again, you need a huge amount of resources just to do this. Would I recommend it? It really does depend on your situation. If you do a lot of raiding, then, why not go for it? But of course, is it worth the risk? I don't know. So the final score is 323. Okay, tier 6 next. So we've just upgraded the ship. We can equip tier 7 components, 324 strength, and take a look at some of these parts. It takes a whopping 1,000 uncommon ore just to upgrade that armor. It is totally not worth it. And, is this worth going to tier 7? Probably not. Keep it at tier 6. Keep the Legionary at tier 6. And, use it for fighting, use it for raiding. You really need this ship. I highly recommend it. Okay, let's take a look at some battle testing with the Legionary class. So here we are right in the heart of the Klingon Empire, and we're going to test against this level 28 battleship, Klingon Patrol. We're going to take it on now. The Legionary is going for it. It is striking. Oh, look at this firefight just going on now. So yeah, that is awesome. So we're going to go against this Explorer class now in Klingon space in Morska. Taking on this Explorer. It's going to do exceptionally well against this Explorer class because it is a battleship, of course. And let's go against this level 30 Interceptor. And it's not going to do so well just because of the battle triangle. Remember, battleships do not do well against interceptors. But let's take it on anyway. Let's see if we can fight against, higher than our class. I'm level 26 and we're taking on a level 30 right now with the Legionary. Oh, and it's doing a smashing job. The shields were absolutely depleted, but the hull remained intact. So take a look at these battle logs. This is the battleship. It did really well. Hardly any hull damage. And let's take a look at the rounds. 3 rounds. It did really well. I don't have the best officers on the ship. I don't have very good officers, but even without the good officers, it does really well. So it does really well in battle. Let's take a look at the Explorer now. Oh, again, the Explorer, it did try to knock off some of the shields, but of course it failed. It does, this battleship does really well against Explorer class. And let's take a look at the Interceptor battle log. Oh, yeah. So it completely destroyed our shields, interceptors. So do not go against interceptors, especially the Swarm. I took this on against the Swarm and it didn't do so well at all. So let's take a look at this Corrosion Rebel now. So we're still in the Klingon Empire in Felvian, and we're taking on this Corrosion Rebel now. So this is not a normal NPC, but it is a NPC which you don't get any points for, but we're still taking it on just to see. So let's take a look at this battle log now. And, it did exceptionally well, even better than the faction NPCs against this battleship, level 29 battleship, Corrosion Rebel. Let's take a look now at base defense, because the Legionary is a really powerful ship, but I did a little test against this guy, EF Deputy. So he used a Saladin 371,000, and he really packed a punch into my base. So, it took out the Kumari, and it almost took out the Legionary. So this is definitely one to consider. It doesn't, unless you have super powerful officers, it's not really going to pack a punch in the Saladin. I still recommend getting the Saladin over the Legionary, just because, the Saladin is a huge Explorer class starship. So the Saladin really does pack a punch, and with the right number of officers, the correct number of officers, it can really take on the Legionary. Alright, so is the Legionary really worth the money? Well, here are some of the pros and cons. Some of the pros are, it's good for base attacks, and it's also good for getting to those higher level warp systems. And you can't really deny that it's a strong contender in completing those daily goals and missions. But there are some cons too. Unless you have super powerful officers, it isn't going to do well in base defense. Plus, it has super slow impulse and warp speed. And also, it takes massive amount of resources just to upgrade it to tier 7. I really wanted to get it to tier 7, but right now it's just too expensive. Could it do well in the upcoming Armadas update? We'll just have to wait and see. Alright, so take a look at this. So I don't know if this is because of the Legionary or because of something else, but as I zoom out of here, there's this huge globe in the middle of the map. Has this ever happened to you? Like, please let me know in the comments below. There's this huge glitch right now. I don't know what is causing it, but don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, see you guys.